Hello, Uta Hagen here again. Welcome back and welcome to our new subscribers. We're starting to have a lovely community in the comments, and we have quite an increase in subscribers. This is the first installment of Juliette's story. Juliette being the youngest of the four trans widows that I profiled in my last post. And it's got quite a few parallels to what I went through 30 years ago and what has started for her about 4 months ago. Before I start, I'm going to present a nature artifact that I found outside today. It is a paper wasp's nest that came down in the rain or in the wind from its perch where it was suspended from a tree limb. We can understand why they're called paper wasps when we see this kind of part of their nest, which is usually in kind of a globe shape. I'm kind of hoping that these paper wasps have moved on as far as whether they'll be back in my woods next season, because they do consume the caterpillars that would otherwise metamorphose and become my beautiful butterflies. And only insects insects and frogs, I guess. Insects and certain amphibians go through metamorphosis. Humans can't go through that kind of metamorphosis. And as a retired early grade science teacher, that was one of my jobs, I am not appreciative of the cross-sex ideology co-opting the idea of metamorphosis and becoming a butterfly for their purposes. So Juliette contacted me through my WordPress blog, utahagengrasswidow.wordpress.com. There will be a written version of her weekly updates. She and I have had a Zoom, and I can confirm that she is, in fact, a real mother who is going through something very much parallel to what I went through. So, she is going to be, she and I have a plan that she will share a weekly journal of what things are what's going on as this all evolves. Her husband, whom she calls Jack, a pen name, not his real name, engaged in a reveal in a very telling and, actually, if you ask me, cowardly way. As we go into the details of this story as it plays out, I am noticing, and I'm sure you'll notice, the similarities between the tech connections that my former husband has and the way it's playing out with her husband. I really do identify with her. My heart goes out to her, and I want her to know that, Juliette, you have me, and I didn't have me. I didn't know anyone like me 30 years ago. I'm going to pull out one sentence and then repeat it as it appears in the text. This is just a couple of paragraphs. I remember that it was a Sunday night. You start remembering these kind of events and when they happened. I have many specific dates remembered. Usually for me it had to do with whether it was just before or after a Jewish holiday, or before or after one of my son's birthdays, or my birthday, or something like that. Or a few days before my niece's wedding. Yeah. So, this is Juliette. I had just put our son to bed that evening. We were going through a challenging phase with our son's sleep routine. I remember that it was a Sunday night. Jack and I watched a TV show in bed. Jack has been complaining about a number of physical illnesses for some months leading up to this night. On that night, his physical illness was laryngitis, which he said made it difficult for him to speak. Around 9 p.m., once the TV show finished, Jack gave me his laptop with a Word doc opened on the screen. It was a letter he had typed. A letter telling me that Jack was transgender and wished to become a woman. My stomach sank. I didn't fully understand what transgender meant at the time. I thought it meant he was going to wear women's clothes. I had never heard of the terms cross-sex hormones, top surgery, bottom surgery at that time. My first question to Jack was, what's going to happen to us? He said, nothing will change. It's quite laughable now. How can he say he wants to become a woman and that nothing will change between us as husband and wife? I knew at that moment our marriage was over. He spoke about wanting to start hormones, cross-sex hormones, because he wanted to change his body shape and grow breasts. He talked about how we could be intimate in different ways. I was scared. I was scared that he was going to coerce me into acts that I didn't want to do. I didn't want to be intimate with a man who had altered his body in an unnatural way. Then I thought about what this meant for our son and how it would impact him. Will he have two mums? I felt heavy and exhausted. I didn't want to think anymore that night. And that is the beginning of Trans Widow Testimony, Juliette, Part 1.